Okay, let's wait for a while. Hello, parents. This is Coach John here from Learning Out of the Box. And how have you been? Hope that you are enjoying the school holidays with your kids. Yeah, as for me, I'm also planning lots of activities for my kids as well. Yeah, so today we have the privilege of having Didi from Kodecoon Academy to talk about coding, and it's something that's how it will impact our children, because their world, as you know, is always changing. Hello, Didi.
Hi, Coach John.
Wow, you call me Coach John. Wow,
Yeah.
sounds so formal.
Good to be here.
All right. Okay. So let me just introduce Didi. Then later he will share with you more about the topic for today, which I think is very important as well. So Didi is actually a graduate of SMU, and he has worked for General Electric, and now he's running his coding academy called Kodecoon with a K, and it's a institution that helps children to hone skills in applied programming. So the topic for today is something that I also believe in, and it's something that, in my experience of being a parent, uh, is something not very emphasized in school as well. And this is a three essential 21st century skills from coding to prepare our children for the uncertain future. Yeah. So right now, before you start, parents, again, our mission is really to support parents who teach their children maths at
Yes.
home. Yeah, and this is a free event. So if you are on board, just drop us a like or a comment and say hi, to let us know that you are here. All right. Okay, Didi. So
Yep.
over to you.
Okay. So I can share my slides, huh?
Yes, yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, along the way, I got another question I will ask as a parents lah, because I think
Sure. Sure.
it's something that I also want to know more as well.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah. I think today before we dive into the key topic of the three essential 21st century skill, I also want to prepare the parents to set up the context on what do we mean exactly by uncertain future for our children, right? I think even for us as we are now going into the ending of 2020, we are already seeing how the world can be uncertain, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I ask the parents out there at the start of the year who actually thought of going for a family vacation overseas, right? A lot of
Me.
us might have already thought of, the country that we want to go. But things change just within a year. And this is the reason why we are also trying to prepare our children for that. Now, to set up the first context, I'm not trying to scare all the parents out there, but these are also statistics that's happening. The rate of automation is increasing, right? I think the fact that we are having Zoom now instead of having a hall full of parents, this is also a form of digitalization. So I'm going to go into global trend, then slowly going into regional and Singapore per se. If I want to really test out some of the parents who are also listening, if you can type in your answer in the chat, that would be good, right? We have human versus machine divide. In 2018, we have about 71% human, 29. You see that things are going smaller and smaller for human percentage in terms of division of labor as compared to the machine. Uh, let's make a guess, right? What is the percentage of division of labor for human, right, in 2025 as predicted by the Future of Jobs report?
2025. That means in 4 years.
In 4 years' time or in 5 years' time.
Okay. I think that in my own with my own limited knowledge, I would say that because the pace actually dou- double every year. Yeah. So I would say that between 30 to 40
30 to
percent
40, huh?
for
Let's see.
human being.
For human being, huh?
Yeah.
48. But I think this was a report that was released even before the COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
So John might be even lower, right, in 2025. But the trend is clear. The humans divide is the human portion is getting smaller. The machine, in fact, it has passed 50% as predicted in 2025. Now, what's more relevant for the parents out there who are really involved in preparing the kids for success? this is important. What are some of the changing job landscape that's coming in? What are the three emerging roles for your children? So if you look at the top three, most of them are related in tech or even data. Number one, data analysts and scientists, right? Number two, AI and machine learning specialists. Number three, software and application developers. But I always tell parents this doesn't mean that the top three emerging roles are in tech means that your child have to, be in this role, right? It also has to boil down to whether they like that particular role to be able to excel in it. It has to be aligned with what they see meaning and the impact that they can bring to the society. Number four and number five, which I didn't put it here. Uh, John, you want to guess which are the number four and number five roles at the top?
At the top after software analyst.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think I don't know what's that, but my guess is probably among the data research as well as softwares. Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Number four and number five actually is related to sales and marketing.
Okay.
Where the human interaction is still needed, right?
Mm,
But even for marketing, like you said, when you said data, right? I think you rightfully pointed out, even for marketing, data is also very, very important now, right? Last time digital marketing was a job that was quite unheard of. Now it's something that's very, very relevant. What's more important for the parents is these three declining roles, which I want to point out to the parents here. Number one is accounting,
mm-hmm.
bookkeeping, and payroll clerk, right? All these are something that you may want to take a look at. Not say you have to avoid altogether, but be aware that these are places where technology is coming in to replace or to rather to automate things a bit more. Administrative roles, I think that's quite clear. We have client information and customer service workers as well. I think we also have heard where in even in Japan we have hotels where they are all just there's nobody to serve you anymore, right? There's a lot of robots at the customer service to replace the customer service workers. So I also want to ask parents whether what about things like lawyers and doctors, right? Are they jobs that are very foolproof or rather untouchable by technology, right? I think the answer is quite obvious. It's not, right? And I want to try to use this as an illustration, right? There is a test that was conducted previously with top 20 corporate lawyers in the US, right? Against an AI called Logik. And this was an AI that was trying to revolutionize or what is going on in the law industry, which is very much human centric, right? There's a lot more human hours that's clocked in. Now, when they did a test where they give the lawyers, the top 20 corporate lawyers, five non-disclosure agreements full of errors, right? And together with the AI to scan through the document. The AI achieved an accuracy of 94%, right? Compared to an average accuracy level of 85% across 20 human lawyers. A difference of 9%, which I felt that, well, fair enough. The winner is AI. Now, they look at the amount of time that is taken. The lawyers took about 92 minutes to scan through five NDAs.
Mm.
John, you want to guess how long did the AI took?
I think less than 5 minutes or even
Less than
less than
5 minutes.
one. Yeah, because I like I'm thinking from the experience of doing a check in my MS Word.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's like within like 1 second it's all done.
Precisely. 26 seconds.
Wow.
Is in seconds, right? So what does this mean for the parents out there, right? Doesn't mean that your child cannot be lawyers, but even in the space of law, right, where they are well known to be a professions that clock in a lot of hours, technology and AI is coming in to revolutionize this thing. Right, there are even courses in SMU where the law degrees can now take courses in IS, in computing, to be able to create softwares for the law industry. Now, um, what happened to Singapore? Right, Singapore is claimed to be worst hit by job displacements as tax disrupt the region. There are two reasons why. Right, the first reason that they gave is because Singapore is at the forefront of technology, so changes come in a lot faster. And there's another reason which I think is also quite legitimate. It says that Singapore labor force is very high. So employer being more PNL driven or cost saving in oriented. uh, they tend to try to replace human with automation. And we all know there are a lot of softwares that's coming in. It is predicted that 1 out of 5 full-time workforce will have their job displaced by 2028. I'm not sure whether this number is still relevant today, right? It might even be bigger, or even it might not be 2028, it might even be faster, right? But what does this mean to the parents, right? I always want to tie it back. Doesn't mean that, oh, wow, 20% of the full-time workforce will be displaced. There could be potentially more jobs that we have not heard before, right? That could surface, that's open for our children in the future. Now, how does Singapore education try to adapt to all these changes? Now, I presented to you these 4 key things that will, by hook or by crook, if your child is in a public school, right, it will impact you or not, or rather things that you can leverage on. Number one is compulsory coding enrichment, right? It's compulsory, but it is still on the enrichment level, where the schools are teaching children using a robotic ball, a sphero. And parents, if you haven't learned programming before, don't worry, right? Don't be worried and say that, oh, what, I know I cannot teach my kids coding. I've learned before. They are using this thing called drag and drop programming, where there's not much of a typing involved. Their goal is not to try to scare the kids away right from the start, right? But is to build up the concept and to get the kids to understand what exactly can coding do for them. The goal is not just to be, to expose them in primary school, but also to bring them at a more theoretical level for O level, right? Where the kids now can sit for O level exam, right? John, I think for our time, we have bio, physics, and chemistry. For science, right? Now computing is also one of them. Now,
Wow.
my team has looked through the syllabus for computing, and we realized that the focus is still more theory based, right? There's not much of a application. Well, there is, but they are trying to build the foundation, the concept right first, right, before they go further into JC, polytechnic and university. Now, parents who are, I've seen a lot of parents who are, for the third one, direct school admission, who will really go the distance to prepare their child portfolio. And the good news is this: we are also starting to help parents to prepare this, and we see results. And we see how students have got into SST, Ngee Ann Secondary, Nanyang Girls, you know, really building up based on their interests for the DSA. I always tell parents, don't take DSA as a golden ticket. All right, it's really like a job interview. The kids have to be committed to the school and the interest that they're pursuing. For parents who are thinking long term, even beyond secondary, right? There is a Smart Nation scholarship that is coming in to support children, right, who wants to learn tech in the university. There's a catch for this one, right? They always say there's no free lunch, right?
Mm-hmm.
This scholarship is tied into a public service attachment, where
Mm-hmm.
the kids have to serve in a public service as well, right? But if this is aligned with the kids' goal in the future, it is something that the parents can explore as well, right? I want to scan through quickly. These are some of the schools that are offering computing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So parents, let's be aware that not all the schools are offering, right? In fact, it takes them 3 years, right, to train up computer science teachers, and it's not easy. They need to be qualified to do that, right? There's quite a big buzz around schools of SST, School of Science and Technology,
Mm-hmm.
which some parents are looking at as well. In 2018, these were the 9 schools that started off opening their door for DSA. Only
Mm-hmm.
9 schools, right? They were all very new. And 2 years later, in 2020, we have 36 schools. And the beauty about tech, John, is it's not just coding per se.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of domains, things like robotics. Some schools are looking out for like STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, everything combined, multidisciplinary, right? We have schools that opens up to more like computational thinking skills rather than keeping it to just coding per se. So parents, be mindful as well, right? There are schools like NUS High who look more for science and math combined. And these are some of the things that I think you need to take note as well. Different talent areas. Now, I understand recently PSLE is just over. right? Parents were frantically asking for advice, know which school to go and all that. I'm sure some of the parents probably ask you to, John. And one thing that I always tell my parents is this: if you're focusing on developing your child to be tech leaders, right? Also look at the ALP program, some of the applied learning program that the schools is providing, right? While generally some school may focus a bit on tech, the focus might be quite different, right? So you may want to take a look at the booklet for ALP as well. Now, let's go into the skill set of what exactly would be needed, more so than just profession per se. There is ability to solve complex problem, which become the top future skills that your child need. And this was what John rightfully mentioned as well, right? That the world has become uncertain. That's why the word complex. Critical thinking and creativity, if you look back at the research, 10, 20 years ago, these two skills has always been around, and this is important. This is
Mm-hmm.
the first time that critical and creativity has been overtaken by another future skill called ability to solve complex problem.
Mm.
And John, I think your students who are learning math with you would also be will also understand that things are getting more complex, even for problem sums. And this is one computational thinking skill is a skill that I always try to emphasize to the parents. And coding is not the only subject that trains your child in computational thinking skill. Whenever I talk to parents about computational, the word computational, I think, oh, must be related to computer. But
Mm.
it's not true. In fact, there are a lot of different components untapping different part of their brain, from decomposition, abstractions, algorithm, putting in the codes properly, pattern recognition, and generalizations. All these are key techniques to develop a child's computational thinking skill. Now, I want to go into the meat of what we're going to discuss today, right? Uh, in the midst of this, I also want to share with parents things that you should look out for, right? Don't jump onto the bandwagon or like, wow, okay, everyone is learning coding, right? So let me, put my child into coding class straight away, right? There are three essential skills that you need to know before if you want to prepare your child for this. The first one is create versus create. Now, what exactly is this? A lot of parents get mistaken when they let's say buy their child a robotic set,
Mm.
or there's now a lot of off the shelf toys.
Yep.
Mommy, I'm not sure whether parents have heard, but mommy, daddy, this one can teach coding. I can learn coding from this,
Mm-hmm.
right? And John, these are not cheap robots. These
Mm.
are these are expensive gadgets, and they play a couple of time, right? After that, they're done, right? As compared to real creation. Now, I'm not trying to say that robots are bad, right? In fact, for those young kids who are just starting out, who are more kinesthetic, they need to touch and feel. So robots are very good to kickstart that journey, right? But having had experience of teaching using robots as well, we realize that there is limitation. Where up to a certain point, they will say, Teacher Didi, how come my robots cannot do this? Can we get more parts? Can we get more sensors to do this? Well, I mean, if you are loaded, you can always buy more to expand the capacity of the robot. But you realize that there is a limitation, not just because of the money per se in terms of cost, but it's also the limitation at which the child can be given to create. So what my point here is this, right? Drive the child more into robot only when they are young. Up to a certain point, translate them into or transit them into software related, where it is more of a virtual space for them to create, where imagination and creativity comes in, right? So this is one thing that your child would really need in the uncertain future. It is no longer teachers say A means you do A, right? That is the real process of creation. And don't be mistaken, right, by the term, oh, my child is creating something, but it's actually just consuming another technology, or another gadget that somebody has put in the market. So the second thing that I want to share with the parents is this: syntax versus application. If you have decided to say that, okay, I want to let my child learn programming, okay, and okay, past robots, gone into the software side, what should be the focus of the lesson? Should it be syntax? Now, I want to break down this word a bit more. Syntax is like the grammar of coding, where, for example, if I want to create, if I want to tell the computer that this is a text, I have to put a quotation mark. If I don't put it, they may think that it is a variable, like a box to store something, right? In JavaScript, if I want to end a certain line, I have to put a semicolon, right? All these are syntax. Some students ask me, teacher, really, why so leceh? How come so troublesome have to put all this, right?
Mm.
But that's how we communicate and instruct the computer, right? Of course, things like Python and all that has progressed to make it a lot simpler and less syntax heavy. But the goal is not to try to for your child to be, the best person who can memorize the syntax, but it's a lot on application. And application usually comes from their each individual student's area of interest. So if your child is interested, for example, mommy, I like to play Minecraft, I like to play Roblox, right? Or I like to play, let's say, a certain game, right? Well, of course, you can analyze whether there's any violence and all that, but on top of that, these may be areas that they like, right? And maybe your child like music, right? All these are something, an area of interest. But learning programming is like a skill set where they are able to apply their programming skill with application to be able to create an innovation. I'll give you an example, right? Last time, music school are very physical school where they have to use the key and all that. But now there's a lot of music tech that is coming in, right? Even the finance field, right? Where last time fintech is unheard of. But now fintech is one of the growing industry in finance as well. So these are some things that I want to share with parents. When your child start embarking and say, Mommy, I managed to create this thing, the first question that you should ask the child is this. Not say, oh, very good, all right? But rather, you can ask the child, is this something that you have created? Or is this something that the teacher have asked you to do, therefore you do, right? So that there is a difference in that. The last one is a little bit more abstract, where I want to share with the parents that, throughout the journey where I was studying as well, I think I was sharing with John as well, when
Mm-hmm.
I started out, um, my parent, especially my mom, have been the more grade centric, right? Just like a lot of other typical Asian
Mm-hmm.
parents as well. I think now times are changing, but last time, back in those days, parents are very very focused on grades. And I remember that as I was growing up, I cannot go home with a failed paper.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's either I'll get calls with scolding, or sometimes canes also will come out. Right? But what's most important is that while the grades bring me to schools that I wanted to go, right, or what the society thinks as more prestigious school, all the way until I was in SMU, where I was like, yay, finally I can get to choose a subject that I like and I wanted to do. Uh, and I remember I wanted to do information system, and but mommy said that shouldn't go into information system. IT life is very hard. Go into business and economics, learn finance can earn a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think a lot of us have heard of that as well. Go to the banks, and you know where this goes, right? I took business and econs in SMU, and forgo the opportunity to take computing. But me being adventurous, and thanks to SMU education that allows me to do a cross faculty as well, faculty modules, and I took a subject called Information System 200. It was
Mm-hmm.
the most basic, and I remember, John, the first day when I sat in, the professor was very very shocked. I was the goody good student. I sat in front, right, to make sure that I pay attention because it's a new subject. And and I remember the professor said, why are you all business student here? Go back to business. But he was joking with us, but he was very very shocked to see us there. But anyway, we didn't learn Python back then.
Mm-hmm.
We were learning Java. I think some of the parents who have learned programming before, you might have heard of Java as well. Black screen, white font, very very dry. But it was at that point, John, that I realized all these while, that I started creating my own app as well, scheduling app to help me, solve my scheduling problems and all that. And I realized that all this while that I've been studying so hard, it has been putting me into that bottom 80%.
Mm.
there seems to be this 20% at the top, who 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 know something that the 80% don't know, and they have something that the 80% don't have, right? And when I break it down to the kids, I tell them that it's not a skill set, doesn't mean your child learn programming means your child will be at the top 20. Your child can be the best programmer, but still at the bottom 80%. So I always tell the kids, when it comes to kids, you need to bring it down to something that's more tangible.
Yep.
I tell them that the 20% have this key that the 80% don't have. And I translate to them in a very simple English. The key lies in these four phrases: knowing yourself, changing yourself, knowing the world, and changing the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I want to share with parents as well. Whenever we meet a kid, each child always have these three things. Ability is one of them, right? What they are good at, what they are not good at, for sure. You cannot compare a 大姐with the younger ones, or even the
Mm.
younger one, right? And say that, why your sister is good at this, why you're not good at that,
Yep.
right? They all have different gifts and ability. They have different desire as well. They like this one. Then the younger one don't really like this, like something else, right? Desire is one of them, and all of them comes with this set called emotions. That it's very difficult to detach from them. So each child, whenever we meet them, we want to know them in these three aspects. But knowing themselves is not enough. We want them to be able to change themselves as well, right? To be able to achieve a certain desire. And throughout these 5 years of teaching programming, John, we notice that there will always be three stages, almost without fail. All right. We call it the IDC stage. First stage is interest stage, where the fire is burning very high, especially when it comes to enrichment, because it's not just academic. They feel that, wow, mommy, I want to create, mommy, daddy, I want to learn more coding. I want to create more games, right? But a lot of time is this, interest don't last.
Mm.
Yeah, come the challenging concept, the more complicated one. They say, mommy, how come so difficult? Can I don't go for coding class anymore? Now, and this is where we try to push them as fast as possible into this stage called discovery stage, where I noticed that after the interest stage, when I'm teaching the kids onto the more advanced level, things like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, things like Python, it's not as fun anymore, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's like those things that the university as students are learning. But I was wondering, how come the kids will like it? And I asked them, and you know what, John? What they said, teacher Didi, I like it when you intellectually challenge us.
Mm.
It is like, I know this challenge is difficult. I cannot tell you the answer now, but let me try, and I think I can.
Mm.
Yeah, it is this discovery stage where it is no longer about interest anymore. It's about them knowing that I think I'm quite good at this. I think I can do this. These codes that I remember, right, can help me solve this problem. This is a
Mm.
discovery stage. And the last one is creation stage, where we tell them that, okay, I want you to think of a problem and use that to solve a problem, be it in your life or in other people's life. Now, when they have reached creation, it is no longer just about interest. Well, there will still be interest, right? But it's not so much driven by that. And along the way, we tell our parents that parental support very important,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are times when kids will give up, right? But if parent is there to encourage them, it is as if you're all planting the seeds today. The parents are the one and the teachers watering them every day, right? Or every week to be able to let the thing grow. Now, if you're wondering, what about knowing the world and changing the world, right? That was part of the key as well. These are things that's going to happen maybe 10 years later, 10 to 15 years later. And I always tell parents this, the, the world is changing very, very fast. And that includes the tech world, right? And today we can be learning Python, the next time it could be something else. And what is most important is for the child to also understand that do they need to reskill themselves. Now, at this stage, I remember there was I'll share with you a story. There was a parent called Mrs. Lee, and Mrs. Lee asked me, teacher Lily, she has a son. This is her son, all right? Her son is called Lin Feng, 9 years old boy. He clearly loves Minecraft. You see, when I asked him to take this picture, he said, teacher Didi, I must be in Minecraft t-shirt and I must
Mm-hmm.
have Minecraft book at the side, right? But what is interesting is that Mrs. Lee asked me, teacher Didi, Lin Feng doesn't even know what he wants to eat or do tomorrow. What makes you think he knows how to change the world, right? Wow, I was stunned for a while, right? And I told Mrs. Lee, actually, I won't know what's going to happen 10 years later to Lin Feng. But what we can do now is to focus on getting him to know himself and changing himself. And this boy, John, he has something interesting that I want to share with the parents as well. During the circuit breaker period, I think we all know, we all cooped up in the house, right? It was an opportunity for us to engage the kids.
Mhm.
And we get Lin Feng to think of a project, and it started off with like a brainstorming of the problem that he faced. And I remember he came to me and said, teacher Didi, I miss my friends a lot. Last time mommy allowed me to call my friends on WhatsApp, but now I cannot. So I can only wait for them to contact me.
Mm.
So what happened of this? Uh, he basically want to call his friends to play Minecraft together. Right?
Mm.
So but he was a little, I would say, kaypoh or busybody, right? He wanted to know what his friends are doing. So after he completed his mobile app development class, he created this app.
Wow.
What are you doing? Wow, I will say, can you name it better or no? He said, yeah, but that's what I want to know, right? What are you doing? That's the first question. And he get his best friend Cheng Yu and Oscar to download this app as well, where they get to update each other on what they are doing, right? And we submitted this app for international competition, and he was very, very, very happy, right, when he get into the third place, uh, for an international app competition under the youth track, right? And more so than just Lin Feng, we have students who have combined Scratch app with machine learning, right? Parents who are new to programming, right? There's a program like Scratch where the kids started to build program using drag and drop programming. We have a girl here called Kavia, very, very altruistic girl from an international school, who created a fundraising website after a web development class to help children in Africa.
Mhm.
Right? So these are the focus on application that is important for the kids. So that's all that I have, right? If I could summarize, the first one is create versus create, right? So understand, is it a real creation or are they really creating things? It doesn't have to be the nicest creation, but as long as it is something that they put their heart and thoughts into it. Number two, syntax versus application. Don't go into the route of just learning syntax per se, right? Gain the skill to prepare them for application. And the last one is really the key, right? Where it's about knowing yourself, changing yourself, knowing the world and changing the world, right? And we also, with collaboration with John, right, we also wanted to extend a special exclusive discount and privileges for LOB parents. So we are having a lot of Kodecoon trial classes and year-end holiday program as well, right? So feel free to take down our number at 89503022, and please quote LOB to be able to enjoy a free trial class, and $100 discount off the regular class. But parents, all children that's going through a Cocoon program into regular class will have to be assessed, right? We also believe that programming is not for everyone, right? But there are selected few students who are interested, who are willing to be able to commit to this entire journey, right? And just one last slide from me, right, John, before we open to questions. From Jack Ma. He once said this. He's no longer in Alibaba, yes, he's retired already. Right? But he is also an educator at heart. And he
Mm.
once said this: I believe it's not the technology that changes the world. It's the dreams behind the technology that change the world. So parents, as are preparing your child for uncertain future and learning programming, remember this, that the goal is not to try to make them to be the best programmers, right? The best programmers are never taught by teachers, not even by parents. Best programmers are people who are independent and self-learners, people who are very, very adaptable. I give you a challenge, they don't know the answer, they find out the answer. So where do we come in? Where do coding teachers come in? Where do parents come in? We teach them just enough skill set to be able and mindset as well, to be able to do more on their own. And that is
Mm.
most important, right? If your child can come to you and say, Daddy, don't tell me the answer first, let me find out for you, I'll come back, but if I don't know, you help me, okay? Right? The moment they can say that to you, right, I think you can sheepishly smile at the side already, yeah? That these are students, or these are children that will go beyond just interest, but people who take pride in the things that they do and can are able to believe in themselves that they can solve this. Now, that should be the goal, to prepare your child for the uncertain future. Yeah. Okay.
Great.
That's
Thanks,
all from
Didi.
me, John.
Great. Thanks, Didi. Yeah. So I think at the moment, I think many parents, while they are watching this, they are also busy taking their dinner. Yeah. So for parents, if you are keen to get to know more about the coding classes, because I think that even for myself, I send my kids to these classes as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're keen to know more and you think that your child should start to dabble with some coding, you can actually contact Didi's team at what's the number again? Maybe probably you can just drop me the
Sure.
same number in the Zoom chat box and I will just paste it.
Can. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Parents, if you have any question, just contact their team to get to know more. Okay. Just give me a minute. Okay, I'll just post it into the Facebook post.
Thank
So
you, John.
where for parents who are watching this, they get the comments shown to them at the time when you share with them the offer through the replay. Yep. Okay, so I think right now we have come to almost the end of the sharing or the end of the sharing. Yeah. So to wrap up, Didi, what would be one key takeaway for the parents when it comes to I think may not be coding per se, but when it comes to starting to equip their children with the 21st century skills.
Mm. I think what is important is that while we are all hearing about tech and all that, right,
Yep.
parents, right, and generally there will be that fear of what we call it FOMO, right, or missing out,
Mm-hmm.
where we want to make sure that we prepare the kids well and giving them the best opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I think what is important is also for the parents to look back at the child, right, and I always believe this, where I've met so many different kids, and every time I have to assess each of them, but I always tell myself this, John, that each child is unique, meaning that while the coding skill and the tech skill is important, what is more important as well is the parents need to understand the personality of each child, right? And coding is at the end of the day just a means for them to a to a greater goal, right? Or being a successful individual. So if you realize that in Kodecoon, it's never just about skill set. It's never just about, oh, we need to make sure that the child wins competition. No, it's never about that, right? It's really a lot about the mindset. At the end of the day, even if let's say, your daughter, right, John, even if
Mm-hmm.
let's say Phoebe were to uh take coding and say, Daddy, I really want to be a coder, right? And one day she realized that, oh, she likes something else along the way. And she
Mm-hmm.
discovered a calling in another area. Does this mean that all this journey and all this process of learning coding is gone? No, there's a lot of thinking skill and structural thinking and computational thinking skills that she have gained out of it, right? And one day maybe she can become a manager, and she knows that she know what tech can do for her, right? And she might be able to get people to help achieve that dream. So that's important. There's a lot of things that the kids don't know,
Mm.
right? They don't even know what they don't know, but we expose them as much. And at the same time, while you're exposing them, now we need to understand uh, what is the personality of the child as well. What type of children they are. There are some kids who don't think very logically, right? Who are not very into tech. Then in that case, should I still force my child to coding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or could there be, is this more like an exposure, and from there could my child understand that, maybe tech might not be something that they like, but could there be other areas of tech? Maybe not Python per se, but maybe the child like game development. Maybe the child like virtual reality, or augmented reality, right? Where there's a lot of software that out there that allows them to apply technology into it. I have students who don't like coding, right? I remember one girl called Vera. She don't like coding, right?
Mm.
So boring. She like to draw. She like to do arts, right? But we realized that she reaches the web development part, wow, she suddenly come alive,
Mm.
right? Where she started to see how coding can also help to make her design things and make things look pretty, in her terms. So I think finding out the right key for the child is important. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Great. So Didi, thanks for your sharing. So parents, if you're keen, just drop Didi's team a message, and the phone number is in the comment box. Okay.
Okay.
So Didi, thanks for your time again. Then we'll keep in touch. Yeah. So hope that you get signups from this sharing.
Sure. Sure. Would love to see more children joining our child classes as well. Okay.
Okay, parents. So thanks again for watching, and have a great day, and we'll see you again soon. Okay, take care. Bye.